Hello everyone and welcome. I am in my 2023 Ford Expedition Max Tow, and I want to do a comprehensive review about everything about this vehicle. I have noticed that there is some interest within my viewers of the Ford Expedition, and at this point, with 43,515 miles, I think I can offer a little bit of insight of what it's like to live with this thing day to day. I have put a lot of the miles on this vehicle. My fiance also drives this vehicle, so it's probably not 50-50. It's probably more like 70-30, just because I'm always, if I'm there, I'm the one driving. So not that she's a bad driver, she's actually quite a stellar driver. We both really enjoy this vehicle, and we have enjoyed it from the beginning. What led us down the path to get a Expedition? We wanted a 3-row vehicle. We wanted something that could be a backup tow vehicle in case my truck ever went down, which it did need to have service done to it when it was at about 11,000 miles, and this vehicle came in extremely handy. The Expedition did a great job on filling in for my truck when it was down for about 3.5 weeks to get new axles put in it. So that is nice to have that backup. The other thing that we learned, so my mom has an 03 Windstar, and that was what I grew up riding in for family trips and all that stuff. Field trips, my mom drove a lot for field trips. So we had some background in 3-row vehicles, and we knew that minivans, not that they're not, the Pacificas are actually really nice. It's just that they're not as capable as this. They're still unibody vehicles. This is a body-on-frame vehicle with a longitudinal driveline. It's going to be very easy to take care of it. This one, being the Max Tow, as far as I know, has the same transfer case that an F-150 will have, and of course the matching engine and transmission. So the whole powertrain is relevant to the F-150, and that's been in production for a very long time in this current layout. So getting parts for this in the long run will be very, very good. I don't know of a F1. I don't know that the F-150 has a single-speed transfer case option. I guess I kind of assumed all of them did. When I saw that the Max Tow got you the 2-speed transfer case to have 4 low, I was surprised by that. I just didn't expect that to be an option on this specific vehicle, mostly because I hadn't looked into Expeditions a huge amount besides knowing their capability. So a little bit of background. We had a friend who was a Ford Powertrain engineer, and he always had Expeditions to tow his sailboat. He had the same exact sailboat we do and the same trailer. So just assuming it always towed about 10K. Sailboats are about 7,000 pounds. I think his boat was 7,157 because I saw it on a scale once, because they're all one design. So we have to get weighed to make sure that they are legal, and then you figure some gear and then a trailer that probably weighs 2,400, 2,500 pounds to tow a weight that big. So by the time you got sails and some gear and whatever, I would imagine it's 10,000 pounds or just over. He always had Expeditions. He was heavily involved in the integration of the 7.3 and the 6.0 into the Super Duty trucks. Don't blame him, he hated the 6.0 too. He always had good luck with stability. I never heard him gripe about his ability to tow the trailer, and he was a single-handed racer, and he towed his boat all over the country to plop it in the water at different places to race single-handed races. He did the Trans-Superior, has done it many times. He's won many times. This guy's a really talented sailor, and he's also a good engineer and a good friend, and like I said, he always had good luck with the Expedition chassis, which I think is relatively similar as you go through the years. Once it went to the IRS setup, it remained relatively similar through the years, and for that reason, I'm very confident in this whole package, and when I tow with it, it tows quite well. Most of the time, though, we are driving it empty because we're commuting with it or going to family functions or shopping or whatever the heck we're doing. We generally don't, because we only have one child and a bunch of dogs. The 3-row, we really wanted the room that the 3-row vehicle provided, not necessarily the 3rd row. We had hoped that we were going to do a family trip that involved a lot of the family in the vehicle all at once. As time has proven, it kind of worked out that we would show up somewhere and then others would show up there too. So far we haven't used the rear seating a whole lot. I've been back there. I'm 6'2" and a bigger guy. I can get back there It's fine. I don't know if my dad would want to get back there because it is a little bit of a hike. You got to, hunch on your back to get back there. I mean, for older people, it may not be the most comfortable thing to get to the third row, but for sure, kids love the third row. There's going to be nothing wrong with that. And if my daughter gets into doing field trips in the future where other kids are coming along, and I would definitely love to chaperone for field trips. I love that whole idea. I've been looking forward to it. Ever since I found out that I was going to be a father, I was looking forward to specifically the school trips because I just thought I loved field trips when I was a kid. It was kind of a magical thing to get into my mom's vehicle with some of my friends and go somewhere really fun, have a good day, go to Mackinac Island and like Kalahari or like theme park or something like that, or Henry Ford Museum. There's just so many awesome things in this area. Being a Michigander, when you're a kid, you get to have the field trips to go to different planetariums and museums and things like that. There's lots of good stuff. So for that reason, it's quite a nice vehicle. And when you're doing a trip like that, we'll just take this. This is a perfectly average tank for us. We're at a little bit over half of a tank of fuel at 241 miles. This vehicle commonly averages, and I realize it just changed there because my hand just hit it. This vehicle commonly averages on a hand calculation over 19.5 for mixed driving. This tank specifically has had some 75 mile an hour highway and some just assorted long distance, higher speed, and then also at the same time horrible stop and go city driving. So not exactly the best tank. If you were, for instance, you wanted to leave from Detroit, you wanted to go to the UP with this vehicle, and you were going to go, maybe 75 the whole way up, 75 or 7 drops to 70 in a couple places. Go the speed limit all the way up 75 and then tour around the UP at 55 or 65 depending on the speed limit. I would expect over 600 miles of range, and hand calculating over 23 is very achievable with this powertrain in this vehicle. And I want to note that I think a lot of that is due to the excellent drivability and 373 is just being a great gear ratio for this transmission. It allows you to really use your 10th gear. We are going exactly 55 mile an hour basically right now, and we're at kind of the meat of the potatoes of the bottom end of this engine. Whereas my 7.3 has tons of torque from idle to 12 or 1300 RPM, and therefore it easily cruises down the road at 55 at approximately 1,050, 1,100 RPM. This engine just doesn't have that kind of torque at that low end. It's got great torque about right there. This engine really comes alive at about that 1,600 territory, and obviously it pulls really hard up past that. The turbos spool quite well at about 3,000. So, for instance, if you want to be a sportier driver, hold on, car turn left here. If you want to be a sportier driver, the sport mode is actually wonderfully calibrated. Anyone who is picky, perhaps you're a manual transmission driver and you're tired of dealing with a annoying automatic, whether it wants to hold gears too long for you, or maybe you don't like turbo lag or something like that. Let me tell you, there is a little bit of turbo lag with this vehicle in normal mode or eco mode. There is no turbo lag in sport mode because it is always, and by no turbo lag, I mean very, very good turbo lag, okay? It can't be none. There's going to be turbo lag, but having it hold lower gears for longer, it is almost perfect. And if you're driving a section of, say, Twisty Road, where you just want to have that 3,500, 3,000 RPM power on tap whenever you want it kind of situation, the sport mode is calibrated absolutely perfectly. So if you're somebody who lives in Virginia or West Virginia and you have a spaghetti of racetrack laid out for you on your drive to work, you're going to burn a little bit more fuel. And we'll talk about that in just a second with the EcoBoost. But it is a good an excellent handling SUV. I mean, this thing handles, I would expect this out of a sports sedan, like a good full-size BMW. This is the kind of handling you expect out of, and believe it or not, this 9,000-pound rated tow vehicle is capable of handling like a car, and I stand by that. I love the way this vehicle handles. The brakes have been very good for me. I've never found fade, but I also haven't brought this to my road on my Route 33 route through the mountains. I would like to at some point. The problem is that the limitations of this vehicle are over that of your passenger stomachs. You could be a father who likes to go fast, and this vehicle is going to do it for you. It's very, very fast in sport mode, especially because the turbos just really come alive. It feels like it's got a lot more spicy throttle response, shifts very fast, shifts very firm. Sport mode is awesome. Normal mode is very good for most people. I don't really use eco mode that much because I just don't really think to put it in eco mode when I'm driving, and it seems to get good enough fuel economy. I suppose we could do that right now. You just turn the little dial, and you got to go the right way. The modes work quite well. This vehicle has true all-wheel drive when you don't have the center differential locked, and so this is a four-wheel drive and all-wheel drive vehicle, which is very cool, very flexible. And in some modes, like slippery and sport mode, it automatically goes into for auto, which would be all-wheel drive mode. We're gonna have to let this car go by. They are fixing our shoulders, which commonly get ruined by trucks and whatever around here pulling off the side of the road, and then the shoulders get all messed up. It's a very, very pretty part of the thumb here. Very, very pretty. Some of the thumb really looks like northern Michigan, which is cool because northern Michigan includes the top of the thumb too. This is a great vehicle for you guys if you have a cabin up north, you want to be able to bring your family, your dogs, your luggage. If you travel a lot, obviously there's tons of room for all the people in your family and the luggage in the vehicle on the way to the airport. It still parks very well. I'll tell you right now that this is a truck that parks a lot like a car. It has an excellent turning radius. It fits in parking spaces very well. It's not oversized. This is an XLT, and it does have electric mirrors that fold in, which is pretty nice if you park a lot. It is low enough to go into low parking structures and not have an issue. I have a roof rack on this, and I don't have kayak racks on it right now, but they would clip on. And even with those crossbars on the roof, I am nowhere near being in trouble with going into a parking structure, so that's really nice. So any of you, if you're commuting to a hospital, or you work somewhere that has a parking structure, or you commonly go downtown for shopping that has parking structures, you should be good to go. In the same vehicle that you can also tow a rather large camper, a rather large boat, car trailer, things like that. Dump trailer if you want to do some yard work, equipment trailer if you have a compact tractor, with the max tow. So I've towed my dump trailer with my compact tractor in it and a brush hog on it. I've towed my dump trailer with a reasonable amount of either dirt or cement or something in it, broken up concrete, I mean. So this is rated for 9,000 pounds. I've towed all of 9,000 pounds, but more commonly I tow between 6,000 and 7,000 pounds. And that's really a good place to be with a half ton. Even if your Ford F-150 has a 12,000 pound towing rating, I highly recommend that you don't explore that unless it's a necessity. You're going to find that your handling and your braking and your cooling is going to be very taxed at that level because it doesn't go through the same level of durability testing and towing testing when it's being developed. You're going to find that it's capable of it with an asterisk of it's going to be a handful. Whereas this vehicle, I would confidently say if you tow anything about 6,000 pounds, you're going to be very comfortable, very able to play I Spy while you're going down the road with your family, have a good vacation. 7,000 pounds might be pushing it. You're probably still going to play I Spy, but you definitely, if it's gusty, you may have to really pay attention to what you're doing. Anything over 7,000 pounds, you should definitely be focused on what you're doing, and you should be that anyway. But we all know that when you travel with your family, you're going to communicate with them and have a good time, and you should be able to do that when you're traveling. If you're going to go with a bigger trailer, or if you feel that you need to have a camper over that 7,000 pound mark, you should really consider just buying an HD truck because your relaxation level, and obviously the caveat being we don't have any HD SUVs anymore with the Excursion and the Suburban 2500 not being a thing. There's a huge handling, braking, cooling, and long-term durability factor when it comes to HD trucks really towing over anything 17,000 or 7,000 pounds consistently. I think that's a really good number to be at or below for half tons if you're doing it regularly or any long distance. There's nothing more unfun than hooking up to an unstable trailer and then driving 250 miles. Those of you who have done it, you know that it's not a fun time. You're going to be very tired when you get somewhere, whereas my truck, I could easily put basically the biggest bumper pull camper you can buy on the back of my F350, and it's going to be a fun, relaxing, play I Spy game or time the whole way there. It's just a big step up. But the caveat being, we'll talk about the caveat, being that I generally drive a Super Duty, this gets better fuel economy empty. Like I was just talking about, it's not uncommon to have, basically your worst case scenario is 19.5 hand calculated. That would be if you had, perhaps you had a trip or a tank where you're in a rush, or maybe you're having a bad time at work, so you're a little bit more, on the throttle. Maybe you're just having a bad day or whatever, so you're a little bit more on it, That's how you burn a little bit of fuel in these things. If you get into boost with an EcoBoost, they burn a lot of fuel. And that's by nature. When you add boost to an engine, you need to compensate by enriching the mixture more than you do a non-boosted engine. If you made 400 horse with a boosted engine and 400 horse with a NA engine, you're going to burn more fuel in the boosted engine, because it needs to have additional fuel to cool the top of the pistons, to cool the rings, to cool the valves, and to prevent misfire, because you're packing so much air into the cylinders to make that additional power without the displacement to go with it. So, talk about the engine really quick, because I think it's important. The 3.5 EcoBoost is a fascinating engine. I am a car guy. I love cars. I love technology, but at the same time, I like to ground my love of technology does this make any sense? There's a lot of technology in the automotive world that makes no sense to me, because it takes away my happiness as a driver to feel a vehicle work or run or noise or something that goes into that. And I don't know if any of you guys watch Top Gear. I mean, I was heavily influenced by Top Gear my whole life because I watched a lot of Top Gear. James May talks about the fizz that you get when you drive a vehicle, and I don't get the fizz in a lot of new vehicles. I definitely get the fizz in this car. I love the Expedition. When we first test drove one, I didn't want to give it back. I loved it that much, and I still have that feeling today. I love driving our Expedition. Some of that comes down to, we'll talk about the engine really quick. They weigh about 450 pounds, just the engine and the accessory drive. That is unbelievably lightweight, regardless of the horsepower output. This engine should have 380 horsepower, 470 foot-pounds of torque, if I'm not mistaken. Very high engine output at a very low weight. The overall size of the EcoBoost is unbelievably small. It's very short front to back. It's very skinny in width. It is a remarkable engine from a technology standpoint, and it's super cool to get factory twin turbos. I love driving this vehicle. I really love the fact that I'm driving something that I feel is technologically interesting, and its application is excellent. It has dual overhead cams, 4 valves per cylinder. Let's talk about V6s really quick. I kind of like the way that this engine sounds. Some people don't, and that's okay. I'm not sure I love the sound of the 4GT with its open exhaust. This has a very quiet exhaust, so I actually really like this. There's just enough engine noise to make me happy without it being loud or annoying. They did it perfect from the get-go. And the fact that they're able to make this kind of power and torque with the NVH is under control, as this vehicle is very much under control, it's excellent. I would say that a caveat, just since we're talking about NVH, and I'm trying to be fluid with this review, but the thing is, it makes me think about things that I'd like to talk about here. Being that it's rated for 9,000 pounds, it came with a heftier set of tires. I put aftermarket tires on because I wanted to have better snow performance. The factory Hancooks were good tires. I liked the Hancooks. It's just that I needed better winter performance because they had already had a decent amount of wear occur on them, and we were going into another wintertime of which I knew we were going to be doing some driving in the wintertime, choosing to drive into snowstorms to go to my cabin or something like that in the wintertime. Wanted to have good tires. Put Falcon AT4s on them. Love them. There is definitely a little bit more tire noise because of my choice to put a heavier, a more tread tire on here than perhaps a true highway tire. That's just part of the deal. It's not saying that the AT4s are loud. It's just saying that all-terrains are louder than highway tires. They have excellent rain performance, excellent snow performance, great braking performance in dry, good handling. We haven't lost any handling performance when dry. The vehicle is still very fun to throw into a corner and power out of a corner. I love driving this thing. It's really fun. Downside though, they are tires rated for the capacity that this vehicle is or is made to tow with. They're load range Ds, and therefore they have more puncture resistance. It means they're heavier, and it also means that the ride is harsher. I have them at about 30, well, I haven't set at 35 PSI, but by the time the cement warms up, the tires a little bit, and the sun load, and, you know, whatever, they're at like 37, 38 right now, which is a little high. You could artificially set them a little bit lower so that you have, you know, they rise up to the PSI that you want them at. I had them at 35, and they get to 37 by the time they warm up a little bit when you're going down the road. It's 80. It shows me 82 right now. So wow, we got another hot day, or a hot day for a difference. Michigan has been really weird lately. Our weather has been very cold, very windy, and not exactly the nicest spring that has happened in a while. It definitely came in very slowly. I assume we're going to have a really hot summer to make up for it. Anyway, so it's not the car's fault the tire's a little bit louder, and it's not the car's fault that the vehicle handles a little bit harder or harsher on bumps thanks to the heavier duty tires. That's something that I like to have. I have no problem carrying them around, and I have no problem dealing with a little bit of extra NVH and whatnot. If you have a vehicle that is your family vehicle and it also is rated, whether you get an F350 or 250 where it's got a lot of payload and a lot of towing capacity, and when you're not using it for that, A, make sure your air tire's down. B, know going into it that your extra capability that you have on your side is going to mean that the vehicle is going to be more harsh when it's empty. I've had family members comment who drive very light-duty GM vehicles. Oh, it rides like a tank, blah, 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 blah. It doesn't really ride like a tank. It just rides a lot harsher than a car that is not rated to haul or tow anything. So keep that in mind. Make sure you're comparing apples to apples. If you compared something, this has about 2,000 pounds of payload. If you're going to make sure you compare this with something that has about 2,000 pounds of payload. If you're going to compare ride comfort, especially on bumps and pavement heaves. Those are two things that really upset this car. You definitely avoid manhole covers that are, you know, a little low to give the vehicle a bit more of a hit. In other words, it is quite good except for when it's bad, if that makes any sense. Car seat wise, so I guess we'll talk a little bit more about the Expedition itself. Car seat wise, there is plenty of room for all your kids to be in here. Car seat anchors are good. Passenger side, if you have, I mean, you could easily sit in the passenger seat with a broken leg in the cast and still have enough room. Back seat, I mean, you're not going to be able to be straight-legged in the back seat, but you are a full-size person. My dad is 6'1", and he was just in the back seat. No complaints at all. It's actually quite comfortable, and I don't really ride in the back seat very often, not because of lack of comfort, because I like to drive. I like to be in control of, you know, whatever situation we're in. I want to be the one in that situation as opposed to someone else having to deal with it. If that makes any sense. I guess it's just kind of part of, you know, I hate to say being the man of the house, but like I offer to drive or do drive if we have to ride with my fiance's mom or whatever. I offer to drive, even if it's her car, so that she can relax and I'll just drive. And if something weird happens, then it's my responsibility to keep us alive, not her responsibility. You know, not that she's a worse driver, just is what it is. But I'm always in the driver's seat, basically. So in other words, I am a larger guy. I'm 6'2", and I am extremely comfortable in here. I have tons of headroom. The seat goes down low enough. I would say if you are even, I got about 5 inches above my head right now, maybe 4.5. If you are, you know, 6'4" and down, I think you're going to be okay. 6'4" and up, by nature, I think you're going to have trouble getting into a lot of vehicles. And if you are that tall, let me know what you drive. I've always wondered that. People who are extremely tall have got to have just such a huge problem both buying clothes and driving vehicles that are normal production made vehicles, because the seats just don't roll far enough back. They seem to be really made for someone who's like average, like a 5'7", 5'8", and I'm 6'2", so of course I'm quite above average, at least in that way. And I find that most vehicles are very small for me, and those are mostly GM and Ram products. Dodge, Ram, GM, but I do hear that Challengers and Chargers are a little bigger for bigger people. But Ford trucks, at least, I just have a lot more room in a Ford truck. There's a lot of room in this driving compartment. However, if you are a smaller person, fear not. The seat rolls far enough forward, the steering wheel comes far enough toward you that you will be able to get comfortable even if you are a very small framed lady. Like my mom is like 107 pounds and she can easily get comfortable driving this vehicle. And we should talk about that. Steering effort is nothing. Anyone that has enough strength to go about their daily lives and wipe their butts, they're going to be able to drive the vehicle. There's excellent brake feel and plenty of brake boosting, so anyone, even if you don't have a lot of leg strength, is going to be able to stop it. All in all, it's just a really great vehicle, and I very much enjoyed having it. Perhaps we should talk about biases really quick. I guess I'm not necessarily Ford biased, even though I do own Fords. I own like 5 Chevy trucks and like a couple Dodges, 3 Dodges, and I like a lot of stuff. I don't like one thing. I just like good stuff. So my bias is, if something's good, I'm going to rave about it. If something's not good, or if there's something wrong with it that makes it, I'm willing to accept inferior if it's cheaper, or if it's better value, or if there's a durability factor. Maybe it's slower but it lasts longer, or tow's worse but the drive-line's a lot better. I'm willing to accept caveats like that. It doesn't need to be the fastest, the most reliable, because that's really hard to do, is to get the most power and the most reliability all at the same time. I'm willing to accept not having that, but what I'm not willing to accept is poor value for money, or poor value for performance. Willing to pay for performance, don't want to overpay for poor performance. One thing that we should talk about really quickly is that when you hook up a trailer to a 3.5 EcoBoost, you're going to be in boost more, you're going to be working the engine harder, it gets terrible fuel economy. Where it gets excellent fuel economy empty. If I tow, so I have an enclosed trailer that's very similar to that one. These two right here, it's about similar sized, basically, to those. This gets 2 miles a gallon less than my Super Duty 7.3 gas, towing that exact same trailer. So, not good when you get some load behind it. I would expect to have 10 or 11 miles a gallon with a camper. It may even be worse, especially if you're humping it. If you're doing 65 with a decent sized camper behind this thing, I would expect some lower fuel economy. That kind of goes along with it. If you, first of all, the fuel may not mean anything to you at all. You may make enough money where you've budgeted your fuel, you don't care about how much fuel you burn to go on a recreational weekend, and you don't care. And for that, don't worry about it. The 3.5, I quite adore it. I was definitely a V6 turbo hater for a very long time, and it was before I owned one. It was before I test drove one. And what changed my mind was my fiance's uncle, had a ATS-V, and I was always V8 everything, or manual transmission everything. And not that I'm not automatic transmission, or did I just say that wrong? I was always V8 only, manual transmission everything. I forgot what I just said. I was always that way. And of course, the ATS-V with the twin turbo V6 is an automatic. And I test drove it mostly because I wanted to talk smack about it, just because, he's a GM guy, Ford guy, you butt heads a little bit. I got in it and I kind of understood, because anyone could drive that car, whether you're tired, whether you're hurt, whether you've been working hard all day, you just went to the gym, you just relax and you just drive the car and the transmission takes care of you. And that 8-speed that GM uses is actually quite good, quite fast shifting, very comfortable car. But it's not only that, it was the torque production that had such a flat and such a bulky torque curve. That car was fast everywhere, basically everywhere except for just like this. Below 2,000 RPM, it's not particularly fast, but anything when the turbos get on, you have a flat torque curve all the way up, and it is something very special and unique, and I would say an excellent feature of these twin turbo V6s. And it's not that it's a lot different than a turbo inline 4. Like my dad has a Fiesta ST, I have a Focus RS, I had a Focus ST. They all have unbelievably excellent torque curves, and it's thanks to the turbocharger. I mean, no surprise, you pack a bunch of boost in something, you get a lot of torque, but it pays dividends to a daily driver. It's not only for racing, and of course when you're a daily driver, you basically don't care about racing, do you? Because there's speed limits, so you can only go so fast for so long before the Rosers find you, right? What it has is a great deal of comfort and tractability at all RPMs, and it really sold me on, wow, there's something to this. So perhaps you clicked on this too, talking about 3.5 EcoBoost. I'm sorry if you had to suffer through Expedition conversation to get more about the EcoBoost. I could totally see how, first of all, the Bronco Raptor, super cool, turbo 3-liter, twin turbo 3-liter. I totally get the Ford Raptor now going to this motor or this engine. I get it. It's excellent. I could totally see why that would be a really fun truck to own, to daily drive, and then to romp on, because the torque this thing makes is furious. It's absolutely a furious vehicle to drive most of the time. I will say the tuning on this, not HO. I haven't driven an HO that hard. I mean, I've driven them, but you don't beat on a test drive car. I would love to own a Raptor someday. They are kind of always been a dream vehicle for me. But now that I own this and I've really fallen in love with the way that this powertrain works in this vehicle, I'd really like to feel it in a Ford Raptor. In the same way the Bronco Raptor is amazing too, but good Lord, both of them are so expensive. So if you're searching, if you're here because you stumbled upon 3.5 EcoBoost conversation, great fuel economy, empty, a little bit worse fuel economy when you beat on it. Not that great of fuel economy when you tow, but excellent torque and performance when you tow. I guess we may as well turn into this by meeting somebody to pick up a veil for my fiance, because they discontinued the veil that she wanted, and someone happens to be selling one or a similar one, and I've been tasked with the mission of going to find it or to go pick it up. So hopefully that sort of concludes our driving conversation about or review of my Expedition. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you want to see more conversations, or if you first of all, I have a whole playlist of different, if you like the way that I approach vehicle reviews, I just try and be honest with you guys. Nobody owns me, nobody owes me anything, or I don't owe them anything. I'm just honest with what I feel, and at the same time, I'm also a consumer and I am my own viewer, because I go and look for videos like this that are experiential, that are how something feels to own, how does it make you feel. I try and approach that with all my videos so that you guys know what to expect if you're going to go off and buy a vehicle like this. Hopefully we can expand in the future to reviewing and test driving other vehicles down the road, because I do actually really enjoy doing this, like long-term testing and things like that. I hope the YouTube channel in the future can go that way, because I really like getting a feel for a vehicle, because it's just something that I feel very in tune with. And then I really like thinking about and articulating how that vehicle works for each individual, and I try and put myself in different people's shoes, so to best advise, if you want, what vehicles would work well for them. This one works well for me. I hope you guys enjoyed the review. Take care, and if you enjoyed the video, check out other ones. I do have a playlist of this up, and now that I realize there's more people interested in the Expedition, I'll do some more content with this. When I first got it, I struggled to find an audience for it. It may have just been that the algorithm didn't really know who to send out Expedition content to, so I will make sure to make more Expedition content in the future. So subscribe and check out the Expedition playlist, as well as Super Duty playlist. I have a lot of different playlists. I try to keep things organized so that when people find my channel, and if they like the way that I approach things, they can check out other videos too all at the same time. Take care all. I appreciate all of you. Have a great day. If you have any questions or experiences you want to comment down below, let me know down below. Take care all. Bye-bye.